Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and make this a quickie video here. I just want to do it live because I'm lazy. I think this was a question. This is something I wanted to ask as well to myself. Because, like I said, I was listening to Surviving Why America. I'm not even going to try to lie to myself or lie to you guys. And I heard this guy, Adam Smith, from Myth of the 20th Century, of course, reference to the title of a book by Alfred Rosenberg, of course, who is in charge of, a lot of the stuff in the East, was very much involved with the General Plan Ost and all that. He was hanged at Nuremberg. But really the question is, what he said in that, though, is that, we aren't getting any money, this and that, what corporations support us? We need to have better branding and all that sort of thing. I mean, it's just very, yeah. What's going on, Mad Baron? Did you listen to Surviving Why America last night? I'm not even gonna lie to myself. Did you listen to it? I'll wait. What's going on, Temujin? I was gonna say, how much money are dissidents making? Because that's the whole thing, man. Is that you can go ahead and say, back in the 1930s, it's like, yeah, Hitler was getting money. And, he avoided taxes and all that. So I guess, in a way, I guess in a certain way, Hitler was a libertarian. He's like, nah, screw taxes, yeah. No, I didn't. Are they on BitChute? I think they are. I'm not sure. I know that they are on Odysee, though. I do know that. But anywho, how much money are these dissidents making? Whether it's so-called more right-wing dissidents or the TRS folks. It's like, I remember hearing one time that Borzoi was like, I don't get any money for this. I just do it for free. I'm like, no, you don't. You do not do it for free. All that money that goes behind the paywall for TRS, come on. You've got to get a cut of that somewhere. It's just like, come on, man. I don't think you would be that dumb. If you're a so-called dissident, you got money coming in somewhere, yeah. Avoided taxes base. Exactly. He made like something like 400,000, or he had like unpaid taxes like 400,000. But he combined the role of chancellor and Reich's president, combined it into one, called it FILA, and said I don't have to pay taxes anymore. Like I say, man, it's a real question though today. Do you really think people like Eric Stryker are making that type of money? Are making like millions of dollars from Mein Kampf? No, they are not making that much money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be online getting Odysee money or whatever, like I say. And, asking to say, go behind the paywall and all this stuff. It's like, come on, man. Those guys are not making that type of money. That's why it's like, give money to our bail fund and shit like that. This is the whole thing, that kind of gets caught up, where they people want to just say right wing. And it's just like, they'll say, oh, look at the Proud Boys shaking the hands of the cops or whatever. It's just like, or they get money from the Mercers. They get money from whoever. It's just like, okay. I'm sure it does happen. But I'm not going to be disingenuous and say, oh, well, all left-wing people get money from Soros. It's like, no, that's, like I say, I know that that's a good meme. It's an unfunny meme. Chan, no, man, avoiding taxes and bringing the world to its knees versus Virgin Al Capone who got caught. Exactly. That's the whole thing. This is something that plenty of folks have said, is that fascism won. Fascism won the Second World War. Fascism won because, Nazi International and all these books by people like Joseph P. Farrell, who was on that Tino Struckman, the Lost Battlefields guy. And I've heard some of this stuff, and I'm like, this guy is another quote-unquote truther, conspiracy theorist who keeps people hooked up in a loop where it's like, oh, the EU is Nazi-controlled and this and that. They have millions of dollars or whatever. Martin Bormann didn't die and all this sort of, like I say, I'm not even going to sit here and deny that stuff necessarily. I've always said this, but it's like they keep people, I would say conspiracy theorists are worse than damn near any other group. Because conspiracy theorists keep people in a loop. They keep people in a cage. And it's just like, oh, you need to go here, go here, go here. But ultimately, you don't do anything with it. That's the problem with conspiracy theorists. They keep you hooked up. They keep you trapped in this little cage where nobody really cares. You know, oh, look at what sign they flash or whatever. And like I say, I know in general, I'm repeating what people like Surviving Why America were saying, you know, that Patrick guy. But I think that there is truth to that, though, and that they do keep people locked in these little areas, you know. It's the same thing when people will say, oh, yeah, well, you know, Rothschild or this and that, yeah. Our uses hate porn mostly, and that's all. Yeah, that's true, too, yeah. EU Fourth Reich, I used to semi-believe this. Yeah, like I say, man, I mean, you can go ahead and say that there's folks that are involved with the EU and even the creation of the Bundeswehr. It's like, yeah, you can look at people like Hasso von Manteuffel, who was, you know, commander of the Großdeutschland division. And he later started the Bundeswehr. He at least got the paperwork going. And he was a fairly good ally of the United States, spoke English, and became like a suckdam, I think. He's part of the new Social Democratic Party of Germany. So, I mean, he learned to play the game. But like I say, this is very easy for generals. I mean, you know, the thing is, by the time you get into that general position, you've shoveled so much shit and had to deal with so much other stuff that you might as well become a politician, because it's just like, you know, you had to do a lot of bullshit to get there. I mean, that's the same thing with admirals or whatever the case may be. But by the time you get up there, you know, you just learn to play that game. That's why, you know, a lot of these generals become in these high positions, right? But I think, you know, I'm glad they aren't getting real money. Unironic, and yeah, exterminationists aren't even useful to destabilize America because they repulse people. Yeah, and absolutely. And this is kind of the point that Adam Smith guy from Myth of the 20th Century was talking about, is that, you know, your ideas are, your ideas aren't bringing people in, this and that. It's like, yeah, it's like there's elements of truth put into what he said, but I think that the way he said it was very shit. I think that ultimately a lot of these, you wonder why nothing is coming about in the United States, is because these groups have no power. The various Antifas have no, I'm trying, like I said, I'm going to try to be somewhat good faith here, but the Antifa groups across this country, they're not getting money. You know, they're just doxing people because they want to, because they feel like it's for the common good. Some of it is because I think that they feel better about it. You know, I'm going to get this boomer who said some anti-Semitic thing. I'm going to get him fired from his job. It's just like, you know, I mean, if you think that makes you feel better, I mean, go for it, I guess. But yeah. When some truthers will claim that every historical figure who has their hand in the pocket of folk, yeah, must mean that they're a Freemason. Yeah. And I do have some latent feelings on this. I've felt that way as well. I remember that there was that guy I said that, you know, George Washington was a Freemason. That dude went hard to, you know, defend, you know, George Washington. It's like, bruh, I mentioned it for like 2 seconds. I didn't go on and on about it. It's not that really big of a thing. You know, it's just like, you know, oh, look at this letter, this and that. I'm like, bruh, just take it easy. It's not that big of a thing, man. I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, is a lot of these dissident groups, whether it's right wing or left wing, they shoot themselves in the foot. And then they shoot themselves in the other foot. Where it's like, I think to a point, you know, it's correct that people like, you know, Jimmy Dore, you know, maybe getting Russian money and maybe getting Syrian money or whatever, but it's like, they do what they got to do. You know, this is what they've made themselves to be. Well, I mean, what are you doing? What are people realistically? People like Paul Morin, who says, oh, China bad, this and that. Support the Maoists in the Philippines. What sort of money you getting, man? You're relying on Patreon so that you can tell people what they want to hear. You know, you're just preaching the choir type stuff. You ain't going to do nothing, though. That's why I say the same thing about people like Jason Unruh. And now, of course, you know, he just wants to be like, oh, yeah, well, you know, decolonization, that shit ain't going to happen, you know? I think that's one of the questions about today is, yeah, I just think Paul Morin, yeah, it really is. It is a waste of time. I just, I feel sorry for these folks that think that somehow these folks are going to change anything. Even the same thing with people like Anarch. I saw this LARPy video too. From, I can't believe Caleb Maupin put this out. And I've defended Caleb Maupin somewhat, but maybe it's just the fact that I've actually touched grass and I've actually been outside and interacted with some people. But when I saw this, I was like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I got to show it now. I got to show this video from Caleb Maupin. This is the most ridiculous thing. And yeah, here we go. A message from the John Brown volunteers. I'm not even going to bother to turn on my mic because it's so cringe. It is so cringe, so LARPy. It's got to be. This is almost like the level of like DSA sort of, you know, BGBG. We support the people of Rojava. It's just so cringe. I feel so sorry for him to do this. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. My mic isn't plugged in, so I'm just going to let y'all listen.
I'm a member of the John Brown Volunteers.
Hi, my name is Joey. I'm with the John Brown Volunteers, and I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
My name's Lily. I'm from down south from Atlanta, Georgia.
That's a tranny. I guarantee you that's a tranny. All white people except for the one token black. One
John
token
Brown
black
Volunteers.
person.
I'm Keaton Mansfield. I'm from Illinois, and I moved out to New York, about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
My name's Nick. I'm an anti-imperialist activist.
I am a organizer from Long Island.
In this time, we need people hitting the streets, spreading the good word of socialism
Hold on.
across America.
We got the goofy
Capitalism
LARPer, and
has
I've seen
created
this.
a system where
Focus
it's
on the
now
booba. Yep.
profitable to lock human beings away for sometimes their entire lives, just so you can exploit
That looks like a demon. I'm sorry, she looks like a demon.
them for their
This
free
guy
labor.
looks like a demon.
There's so many issues in our country today, in our society. Our lack of
Brown volunteers.
affordable,
Oh my
free
goodness.
health care, our roads crumbling, infrastructure falling
Okay,
apart.
here's the LARPer. Here's the big LARPer. We're gonna wear a Hero of the Soviet Union medal and also the Christian cross and a cowboy hat. There's so much. There's so many questions. I have seen this LARP. I've seen a little bit of this from Caleb Maupin, but holy shit! Cowboy hat, Christian cross, Hero of the Soviet Union, Hero of the Soviet Union medal. Bruh. Just bruh moment. This is...
So we go out to public parks, streets, subways, and we raise awareness for some of the issues that really matter to us.
What we need right now is for people with anti-imperialist, socialist politics to be going out to the masses and spreading our ideas.
We generally get a really positive response from people. A lot of people are excited
man.
to see us in the street. They
Oh,
want
Lord have
questions.
mercy.
It can be amazing to see the look in someone's eyes when they realize that another economic system is possible and that there's real hope for our future.
There's nobody else who's on the street every day. There's nobody else who's passed out as many leaflets and literature and buttons in such a short amount of time.
We are giving people hope.
We're giving people hope.
We are giving people hope.
We are giving people hope.
We are giving people hope.
John Brown was an American abolitionist and a revolutionary.
The thing about John Brown is this. John Brown, at least from my interpretation of him, he was no different than goobers like you. He was literally the son of a rich man who pissed it all away and then wanted to make himself look better in people's eyes, so he became like an abolitionist. You know, he was just a LARPer. He was the same type of LARPer that you are, where it's just like, I'm going to try to do something. And it's just like, you can go ahead and try to make him into a hero all day, but it's like, no, go ahead.
He believed in the fundamental right of all human beings to be free.
With 19 men, was able to storm Harper's Ferry and protest against the slave trade.
We feel he's a figure within the appropriate.
And also, the thing is with John Brown is that group killed a freed black man. They killed a freed black man. But of course, they don't talk about that, or they just say, oh, it was necessary for, for the greater good type of shit, right? You kill one guy, but it's okay because we're going to free more black folks by getting these guns.
Progressive side of the American history that we actually want to claim as leftists. So we're out on the street pretty much every day doing outreach. We've got buttons right now. We have cancel student debt and
it's like I can see that they actually did some meetings or something like that. Yeah, let's talk about student debt. Let's talk about
buttons. But we need people to donate so we can keep doing what we do. We're out on the street every day spreading the message. We're having classes.
Hilarious. I'm sorry, it's just hilarious.
Events, rallies.
Every day we meet up and
we're all
the John
reading
Brown
Caleb
volunteers
Moffin's
get
book.
together.
No.
We read a chapter or two out of our manual, which has quotes from everyone from Albert.
And it's in New York City. It's just like, I'm sorry, yeah. That guy is Nick from the channel Flame of Liberation. Oh, yeah, that guy. That is that guy. Yeah, Rajava, I know of no such thing. Yeah, God, holy shit, yeah. Giving people hope sounds like hope and change. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did kind of like Flame of Liberation for a little bit because he was talking about Saddam Hussein, but when I found out that he was more of like a full-on socialist type guy, I was like, okay, this guy's
Einstein to Mao Zedong.
I was like, okay.
And we study and
Beings have a right to our labor.
So a lot of the groups that call themselves socialists,
Four-point
and
plan.
Marxists,
puts out about a certain
Man.
their lives more.
you should consider joining us.
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 Yeah,
Consider
okay,
joining
yeah.
us.
I
You should
thought that
consider
dude
joining
looked
us.
Yeah, this
You
is
should
just...
donate to help us continue the great work that.
So hold on. So PayPal is under Caleb Maupin's name. Come on, man. Are you serious,
Money
bro?
makes the world go.
Affirmative action that fight.
I mean, come on. Sorry. Holy shit. I mean, that's just ridiculous, man. I mean, seriously, it's like, are you kidding me with this? This is what happens when you have no money. And when you're like, yeah, I'm actually going to go, we're going to go out in the streets of Manhattan. And I don't know. I really don't know. Even like Vosh, who claims to make like $500,000 a year, he didn't want to get involved with Chaz. When Chaz was going on, he was like, I don't think I should go down there, this and that. Because like he had enough sense not to go down there. But it's like you didn't see this fool down there. He even defended the SSNP, but this is cringe, yeah. I'm not resubscribing to his channel. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I say, it's you can tell really that these dissident groups, so to speak, they're not getting any money. They're not getting any support. The thing is that corporations in general are like, why do we need to give money to these weird LARPy groups? We're making enough money from Democrats and Republicans. We're getting everything we want from them. So why do we need to get involved? Why do we need to get involved with these, with the National Justice Party, the NJP? Why do we need to get involved with this? What is this bullshit anyway? The center of whatever it is, Caleb Maupin's LARPy group in Manhattan, or whichever, right? The People's Party or whatever sort of feijoa is out there, Patriot Front, whatever bullshit is out there. Corporations on the large part, in the majority are like, why do we need to give money? Why? It's like you can go ahead and make the argument that, somehow these things are going to do better, this and that. But it's just like, I don't know. Like I say, you can get you can go ahead and make your argument that, oh, the Nazis got money from big business and all this stuff. It's like they actually had, the Strasser brothers, and they had different folks who were able to at least give lip service to certain ideas, and had people like, I can't even think of his name now, but, be able to promote, sort of quasi-socialist beliefs. Whereas, nowadays, of course, it's gone online. So it's like, but the thing is, though, all that online stuff, including this too, to a point, I fully admit that, it's stuff that isn't going to go out there IRL. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I would rather join like the lumpen proletariat and join like some rando group that offered me, some sort of chance to have a job. I'd rather join them than ever join any of these goofy groups out there today. Like I say, you can go ahead and, talk about the NJP, unless the NJP reaches out to China and says, hey, throw us some Chinese yuan our way, And I mean, it's just, like I said, this is another part of the conspiracy theory type stuff too, where it's just like, oh, Russia gives money to BLM. It's just like, yeah, it probably does. But the thing is, though, is that just like any of these other political groups, is that they want to have a war chest. So it's like, of course, we see the leaders of BLM make all this money and buy separate little houses, this and that. It's not surprising to me. It doesn't make me upset. It's just like, yeah. But the thing is, though, what have you accomplished? And the groups, it doesn't accomplish any of the goals, really, at least in my opinion. But yeah. I mean, that's my take on it anyway. People have to make their money somehow, and some people do it by grifting and getting, millions of donors to basically fund their projects, isn't that? Other folks get it from, being a hustler, I mean, even Stalin robbed banks and whatnot, Of course, nowadays, robbing banks doesn't really mean that much because they don't keep that much cash on hand. They just don't. There's not some big bank vault you break into. Nowadays, of course, if you're good with a laptop or something, then yeah, you could take money that way. Whatever the case may be. That's part of the reason why you don't have these, these big changes and whatnot, until you get hackers. Nowadays, you have your hackers and whatnot who may break in and take some money or whatever, but you could also get, this is why I don't really understand the whole, well, we need to, we need to support the Maoists or whatever. It's like, you need a sugar daddy. You need a sponsor, I'm surprised people don't reach out to China and say, hey, give us some Chinese yuan. Reach out to the Russians and say, hey, give us some rubles, right? And I know people are going to say, oh, you're talking treason. Yeah, I am. But ultimately, people need to get their money somehow, right? I guess it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. That's my take on it anyway. I don't know. I know people are going to say, oh, you're Fed posting, you're this and that. Yeah, I am. But maybe it's also because, I don't know. You just have to be honest about what sort of hegemony you really stand for. Do you want to stand for a system that doesn't care about you, but will at least give you enough lip service, and you can keep up the standard of living? I don't know. The thing is that there has been a lot of brainwashing in the United States. I think everybody can agree on that. Is that everyone, is that people have been brainwashed to believe, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, capitalism will save you, this and that. And there's a lot of folks that genuinely believe that. But where am I going with this? Yeah, definitely. I mean, but y'all are talking about, the Iran and all this sort of thing. I think that, Iran is one of those countries that definitely is a good sponsor. I think, they are keeping Hezbollah there, created its own pole instead of going towards the West Soviet Union or China. That's true. They have created their own pole, and they have created something, separate from everywhere else. That's why, these liberal hawks or whoever else, they're upset because Iran has made deals with China without endangering themselves and trying to simply become more of a satellite of China. Iran represents Shia Islam, and it represents the true anti-Zionist movement and the anti-Zionist resistance that exists in this world. It's that simple. They have done that, That's why they're mad at Iran, because they're the ones that are actually fighting Israel. Like I say, I'm going to stop short because I know people are going to say, oh, the Sunni Shia. I'm not going to get into it. I'm genuinely not going to, because the Sunni Shia stuff is very divisive. It's even arguably more divisive than the whole Catholic versus Protestant versus Baptist versus Orthodox argument. And there are other ones in there, but basically it's the Catholic versus Prot stuff. It's all just autistic nonsense, But I think in general, this is, you got to find sponsors. You got to find countries that are willing to give you money, And that's what folks are going to do, I don't know. I'm just getting older. And I realize I'm not going to be I don't want to be a chump who's just holding up a flag. What's your religion if you have one? I think I would say probably more of a... I guess I would say I was baptized into the Baptist church. Officially, I was baptized when I was like 20-something. So I guess I would say that if we want to be specific. But yeah. Mossadegh was better than the Shah. The Islamic Revolution helped reinforce religious identity, though. The current leaders aren't sectarian. Yeah. There's a lot of pragmatism within Iran. Like I say, Iran, I'm going to be very careful here. But yeah, I'm going to say Iran, there's a lot of stuff going on, particularly in terms of the water crisis that's been going on. Obviously there are separatist movements that are occurring in Iran. You do also have, anarchists, of course, are like, we support these Iranian separatists, bro, and everything else like that. It's always curious with anarchists where it's like, we support these separatist movements that are also kind of supported by the United States. But, that's why anarchists will never be taken seriously, It's like the Kronstadt Rebellion, the second one, the one that was actually, a Fed op and a gay op. It's like, say what you will about the White Army, this and that, but, they did support it. And anarchists, of course, will talk about, it was a glorious revolution against the authoritarian Soviet Union, and Trotsky. That the only good thing that Trotsky did was take down the Kronstadt Rebellion. Only good thing he did, arguably. The next thing was when the pickaxe came. But yeah. I mentioned it a little bit, but I don't know a ton about it. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it there. But I think there's a lot of stuff about that. There are anarchist groups that are out there that want to preach their stuff and preach about, we're gonna overthrow this, or we're gonna separate the country, or whichever, right? But I don't know, man. I think you know what? I just want to make sure here. And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, you definitely have a side," or "Oh, you're simply a turncoat," or whatever. But I don't like to see myself as an ideologue. I don't see myself dedicated to a particular system and just say it's the end all to be all. There are a lot of ideologues out there. There are folks who are anarchists who are just dead set and say, yeah, anarchism is the only way, bro. Or there are Natsocks who are just, or fuck it, let's just say it, Nazis who are, oh yes, well, the National Socialist system is the only way, or MLs who say, oh, this is the only way, or whichever, right? They're LARPy. That, as we saw earlier in the video, Comrade Do, you can watch it back when I was watching that Caleb Maupin video, but, or just like, I'm going to put on a Hero of the Soviet Union medal and act like I'm, and then wear the Christian cross. It's just like so much LARP in that. So much LARP. But it's just like, I'm not an ideologue. I like to think of myself as somebody who's at least practical. And yes. Give me just a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. All right. And of course, now everybody's coming home, so it's going to get louder. But basically, I'll finish with this. Yeah, and I don't shit like that. Yeah, exactly. But I would just say this. I see myself as a pragmatist. Now, people may say, oh, no, you definitely have emotion, or you're a turncoat or whatever. Look, I try not to... And maybe I'm trying to justify it to myself. I don't know. But that this system is broken. It is. This system is broken. It is completely broken. There are folks who want to do mud reformism. There are folks who want mud revolution. There are folks who are, outright just like, yeah, China is going to be great, or Russia is going to be great, bro. Let's just let them take over. There are those who want to defend the American system and defend liberalism. And I see myself as somebody who's just like, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And and let the chips fall where they may. Protect you and yours. Protect your family. Protect yourself. Be careful of who you get involved with. Don't take every single word that my LARPing ass says at times. And just say, well, let's make do with what we have. It's going to be different wherever we go, right? So, like for people like me who live in, Texas, and who live in the, the not so rich part of Texas, not Dallas, Fort Worth, not Austin, not Houston, not the Permian Basin. Live in kind of podunk Texas, I know that it's going to be different than somewhere else, right? It's the same thing. It's like if you live in Louisiana, it's going to be a different type of thing. You live in Georgia, you live in Washington State, or whatever the case may be, it's going to be different wherever you go, right? People can talk about Antifa all day. Antifa, in general, outside of big cities, is not that big, is it? These left-wing groups, you don't see them going out in the country. You don't see them do that. They prefer online stuff because guess what? They don't want to get busted by the cops. They also don't know how to talk to people. Now, I don't know how to talk to that many people. I just have a regular job like you. But I would just say this. I preach pragmatism. I preach the idea that you're going to do what you got to do. And groups are going to come up that you don't fully agree with, but they hold enough of what you see as your values, and you're going to stick with them, right? Now, there's also the fact, of course, like I say, if you live in a part of Texas like I do, You're going to have, probably boomer conservative groups who are just like, well, we want to keep taxes and or we don't want any taxes. And maybe you'll get some libertarian stuff. Maybe you'll get some neo-Confederate stuff. I don't know. But I think it all depends on, who's popular in the area, right? Up north, you're gonna get this Trotskyite trite. You're gonna get people like Kshama Sawant in Seattle who are gonna be like, actually, we want to have a revolution across the country, and she's gonna get blown the fuck out. But I think everybody's waiting to see where a few secessionists. Yeah, exactly. You're going to have these different groups that pop about. But you're going to have the black marketers. You're going to have the folks that are lumping proletariat making their money. Me, honestly, I would believe the black marketers and join the hustlers and the folks that are selling stuff. I would rather trust them than trust any of these groups, in my opinion. I'd rather trust them. Because guess what? They live in the neighborhood. They want to make their money. And they want to protect their family, right? Now, some may be foul. They may sell people out to save their own skin. Of course, there's that. But I can say, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm preaching lumpen proletarian. And maybe I'm preaching lumpenism at this point, I'm preaching, just when shit goes bad, join the folks that are least honest with you. They're like, I don't give a fuck about you. At least they're honest and be like, I don't give a fuck about you. If you die, whatever. But let's make some money. Or whatever the case may be, right? Or let's get some food so we can feed our families, right? I think that's all I have to say on that. Is it a lot of dissidents, they want to claim they're making this sort of money, or they want to rebrand themselves to try to, get support or whatever. It's like, nah, man, you can't live like that. If you sell yourself out that quickly, then how much loyalty you really going to gain? It's something to think about, right? It's something to think about. I think that's all I really have to say about that. I think I pretty much said my piece. You can go, like I say, just in case y'all skip to the end of this, I want to make sure, bring it back around to the truth. Or at least bring it back around to what I was saying, is that these dissident groups are not getting money. Whether it's left-wing or right-wing groups, these various Antifas. I think that, in general, these Antifa groups are doing the work of, the capitalists and of the U.S. government to a point. But I don't think they're getting money. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but it's the same thing with the National Justice Party. They're not getting money. Yeah, other than Patreon. Yeah, well, that's true. They do get Patreon bucks, but still, apart from people like ContraPoints who are getting like $500,000 a year, even then, I don't see him giving out money like that. I don't see it. But I could be wrong. I would just say be careful of what, the value of the dollar. Watch out for that. And like I always tell y'all, do what you got to do. You do what you got to do to survive in this world. And while a lot of people may judge you, you don't have to justify yourself to anybody. People made their choices, And I don't know what sort of philosophical belief that is, but I call it pragmatism. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Kind of a repeat of other shit that I said, but hopefully y'all enjoyed that. So see you later. Goodbye.